What is up, everyone? Brandon Ferst, aka First Report, representing the First Off the Bench Podcast Network. Everyone comes off the bench. We are first. Welcome into another edition of the original Call to Post. Here on the network, we break down everything that North American thoroughbred horse racing has to offer, and it is Pegasus weekend. Obviously, all eyes will be on Gulfstream. Almost $5 million handed out between 7 graded stakes races. We will get to that. We also have a Derby points race to get to as well. To break it down with me, as always, is my co-host, Raider Jim Martinez. You can find Mr. Martinez at Raider Jim 1090. How you doing today, sir?
I am doing well. It's a little cool outside, or it's warm outside. It's cool in my house, and that's because when I got home and tried to put the heater on to warm things up, all of a sudden it's not going on. So when I'm done handicapping this stuff, I'm going to go handicap my furnace and find out what are the odds that I can get it to run. So
yikes. Yeah, that's the handicapping we're going to be doing here over the next 40 minutes will be a lot more fun than the handicapping after that. But best of luck on that endeavor. But before you dive into that, we are going to obviously look ahead to the weekend, and we will start first in, let's see, Oaklawn Park, where only one big race this weekend, or at least, in terms of the overall range of horse racing, and it is the Southwest Stakes. This is a points derby, or a derby points race, I should say. Looking up the points value right now. Oops. We are looking at, it's not listed. Okay. But I believe it's 10 or 20 points. We're not into the big ones.
It's the 10-4-2.
It is 10 points. Yes. Oaklawn, there we are right there. So Papa Cap currently leads the rankings in that. Once again, we have to throw it out there. Corniche, arguably the best 2-year-old in the world, or a colt at least, is a Bob Baffert trained horse, therefore ineligible to get points. And ironically, here in this Southwest, the favorite, which is Newgrange, the 10 horse at 2-1 as well, a Bob Baffert horse. So as of this moment, ineligible to bring home Derby points. But Raider Jim, what are your thoughts on overall the Southwest Stakes? Because really, whether Bob Baffert's horse wins or not, you're still able to cash that ticket.
Right. And Newgrange is definitely the hands down favorite in this one. You're going to be hard to beat. It is interesting, though. It made me think back to our afternoon at the Breeders' Cup when they had that weird race at the end, and this horse is running, but it's not going to pay out, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's almost the same thing, kind of similar here, because morning line favorite, this horse could come in, get the winner's circle. Everybody cashes the ticket, but then those 10 points go nowhere. Those 10 Derby points just get set aside, and that's kind of too bad to see. If there's going to be somebody that can challenge that, though, I do like Dash Attack, the 2 horses. Right now, 7-2. Did pretty good in the Smarty Jones. Actually won the Smarty Jones, and it was a good track, and should really fire at this one too. I'm interested to see how well, gotta find the right horses here. Oh, there we are. This is one of those, the 7 horse, 10-1, maybe just for the sake of backing one of the people that I really admire in the game, and that's the coach, D. Wayne Lucas. He's got Ignitus at 10-1. Third place finisher at Smarty Jones, so you never know. If they've done their work and their training right, he could get this horse back in the money. It's going to be a good race. And also the 8 horse as well, Barber Road.
I agree. Dash Attack, I think, it's beaten essentially the field minus Newgrange in what was the Smarty Jones. One horse that didn't run in the Smarty Jones that does catch my eye here is kind of maybe an outlier, a way to finish up an exotic, is the 6 horse Osborne. It's been debuting very well, 78, and then last time out in a lower graded or lower ungraded stakes race ran an 83. I think that will be good enough to possibly get into the money, but there's no doubt about it. For a lot of these horses, this is a huge step up in class. Maybe not so much for Newgrange, who's, kind of that, you would say, presumptive challenger to Corniche. But once again, this is another horse that, at least for the Derby, will not be able to go. There are other Triple Crown races as of right now that Baffert's horses are eligible for. But, looking at the Derby side of things, Newgrange, if it comes in, fantastic. Like you said, here's the purse money, here's the payouts to everybody. But we're not making a big movement in the Derby standings. I mean, as of right now, I believe it's Papa Cap with 14 points.
Right.
Just to kind of underlie the lack of points, if you will. And they're not funneling it down. So if you still come in second, you still get the second amount of points or allotment of points. But Newgrange, in terms of this one, as you said, I think definitely the favorite, has probably the two best speed scores of all. Keep an eye on Osborne as someone to come out, but I think Dash Attack is probably the only horse, I believe, that really has a shot to bring down Newgrange. So it'll be interesting there. I believe the Smarty Jones was also Derby points, so Dash Attack is on the board already. So
and moving on, you brought up Papa Cap, because we've seen Papa Cap a few times. We saw Papa Cap in person a couple times, and good horse, and always consistent, and always challenges for the money. But to know that he's got the lead right now for the points is really kind of a surprise to me.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think it does somewhat underlie the strength of the Baffert barn, as always, for better or worse, or however it's done anyways. But yeah, I think Papa Cap is a very good horse, but would be one of the lower end of the Derby winners if it went out one. Let's be honest. It isn't the horse of the year candidate, unless it really turns on. And I don't want to, pile on Papa Cap, but I agree. It's a horse that 3 or 4 months away to be leading things. Very, very, very interesting. It'll be interesting to see what this horse's actually morning line odds are when it's all said and done. It could possibly be very high up there, and still a long way to figure all that out. Moving ahead now to Gulfstream on Saturday, of course, the first big race of the year. Obviously, no Derby implications, but we see a rematch. Not a rematch, but we see a matchup of two Breeders' Cup champions in Nixco and Life is Good. We will get to that race in a bit, but we will start first at race number 8. The inside information: it is a grade 2. The purse is $200,000. This is for fillies and mares, going 7 furlongs on the dirt. I'll get this one started. For me, I believe it is the favorite, or at least close to it. But the one horse that jumps out to me is the 7, Jakarta. Obviously has been running very well overall since it's moved back from turf, excuse me. It struggled in the grade 3 at Kentucky Downs last September. And that was its last turf run. Last time out was in late December, ran in 93. I think that's going to be a number that if replicated, definitely gets you in the money. It is 7-2, so not a massive amount of value, but I think it has the potential to maybe inflate a little bit more. The other horse, kind of, my second choice here, is Just One Time, horse that's won 4 out of its 5 career runnings. And the last 2 times out has been really, really good, a 96 and a 90. But it is a big step up in class here, going to the graded stakes race, running very well. But we'll see how that goes. And has had a bit of a layoff. October 22nd was the last time Just One Time ran. And then my kind of long shot pick is not a huge long shot, but the 5 horse, 4 Graces. It's struggled of late, but I go back to Keeneland in July 10th of 2020. I know it was a long time ago, but still, that horse ran in 96 at 7 furlongs. I think that right there, if it can kind of channel even, a 92 or a 93, I think this horse can get in the money. And at 5-1, that's where the value is. when we get to the last race, you'll see and understand why we're talking so much about value. But this race right here, I think, is really wide open. And I think the morning line odds makers have kind of understood that as well. So a lot of movement is a possibility for a lot of these horses when we get ready on the day of. So Raider Jim, what are your thoughts on the inside information?
Yeah, these are the older horses. Let's just be honest. They're 4 years and up. You've got a couple 7-year-olds in here, a couple 6-year-olds in here. You've got Brad Cox, Todd Pletcher. I mean, this Cox has so many horses running at Gulfstream this weekend, as does Chad Brown. I mean, between them and then Baffert over at Santa Anita, he's got a loaded field over there. So these guys you can tell it's getting back into the season.
Yeah,
because you're seeing all these names pop up. I'm with you. I tend to I'm leaning a little more towards Just One Time as favorite for me. That's the 8 horse, followed by Jakarta, the 7 horse with Irad Ortiz. Joel Rosario is riding Just One Time, and that's also trained by Brad Cox. The other horse I like is the 2 horse, Todd Pletcher's Luis Saez. That's AG Indy out of Kentucky. I think that horse is going to make a challenge there. And I also just like you, I like 4 Graces as a possibility to finish in the money and make it a race.
Yeah, it's going to be, this is interesting. You got 7-2, 3-1 kind of as your early favorites. That kind of shows that there is going to be a strong possibility that someone's going to essentially, really kind of move the line at some point. But moving on to race number 9 at Gulfstream. This is the Grade 3 Pegasus Filly and Mare Turf for, you guessed it, filly and mares, and you guessed it, on the turf. Going a mile and 16 to be exact on that turf course. The purse here, $500,000. Raider Jim, I will give you the honors to get us started here on race number 9, the Grade 3 Filly and Mare Turf, Pegasus Filly and Mare Turf.
Shape up to be quite a race. For me, the favorite is the favorite, Regal Glory. Regal Glory is running out of the 4th spot, and right now I think is at 2-1. But then after that, there's a lot of horses that can challenge, and it's going to be hard to really, not hard. It's going to be interesting to see how it really plays out. Watanaka, which is a horse out of Ireland at 12-1, is a good value, but at the same time has been off almost 8-9 months, something like that. And for me, that's always just a little too much. I do like Sweet Melania. Sweet Melania, one is going to have a good promise to finish in the money, as will one of those Irish horses, as nicest, the 7 horse at 5-1 right now. Those would be the 3 that I would look at. But then there's also there's 2 horses out there that are very interesting to watch. And one is, I'm going to start with the easier one to say first, Shifty She. Shifty She at 6-1. But then there is Lady, and I'm not going to try to say it because my glasses are failing me today, the 3 horse. So I'll let you take the pronunciation of that.
Lady Spear.
There you go.
I believe so. Yeah, it's Speightstown. So I believe it's the same thing there. Yeah. Obviously,
and really on that one, for me, that will be more of watching the morning line and watch how it changes. At 8-1, good value, has had 4 wins and 5 starts. What do you say about 80%? Did finish, showed the last time out, is what I'm seeing here.
Yeah.
But I do like, you can't go wrong with Regal Glory as your favorite. And again, Sweet Melania, I think, is going to challenge for in the money. And then I'm just going to watch the morning line and how it changes on those other horses.
Yeah, this is another 4-year-old and up, older, if you will, race for these 2. It's hard to get away from Regal Glory. It's hard to kind of fill these out and be like, oh, that's the favorite. And, then see 2-1, like, wow, you're really going out on a limb. But everything points to this horse. Its career earnings are 1.2 million. I think the next closest is in this race is 500,000, which is anything to sneeze at. But I mean, almost, 120% more than anyone else. It's ran back-to-back triple-digit buyer scores, and it's continued to get better and better and better. 13 out of 16 in the money, including 9 winner circles. So yeah, Regal Glory number's probably going to get closer to even money. So I did find others to look for. And I did like Shifty She a lot. That's kind of my number two.
Yeah.
A big fan of the consistency in 93, 94, 94, and 95, all on the turf. Now, is stretching out here from what it's normally doing, but the last time it ran a mile and 16, it was at Gulfstream, and maybe not the best run, but it ran an 88. That was all the way back last June, so a long way to go for this one. Shifty She is one I really like kind of as my number two horse here. And then I actually have three kind of, play show picks if you'd like, or some horses to watch, and they're at the bottom of it. Summer in Saratoga has two really, really good runs that I've seen last time out, 93 and a 92. We'll be stepping up a bit, but one of those races was a grade 3 on the turf at a mile and a half. So coming back a little bit, maybe a little bit of a concern, but I'd rather have that than stretching out. The other horse that I have my eye on is the 10 horse In a Hurry. At 12-1 last time out, I understood lost to Sweet Melania and Shifty She, but at 12-1, this horse ran in 94 and only lost by a length to both of those horses. Could be a horse to keep an eye on. And the one that I really like, and I'm really confused as to why this horse is 20-1. I know the post position isn't fantastic. The placing is going to be difficult on that first turn. The 11 horse Bipartisanship out of Great Britain. You talked about Lady Spatespear. Only race that horse has lost, it actually fell short to Bipartisanship. There are concerns. This is a horse that's going to be a stalker, and it's going to, challenge late. When you're in the 11 slot, there's a chance that you're in a very tough spot heading for that first turn. So that's definitely a concern, but at 20-1, I'm willing to pay to see that. I don't think it's getting closer. It might get maybe down to 15-1, but I don't think this is a horse that gets into single digits, and anything better than that, I'll be happy for. But I think there's a lot of value here in this one for Regal Glory. Bet it if you'd like. You're probably going to have to really throw some money down. But for me, there's 3 or 4 place show horses I think you can make your money on, even with Regal Glory coming in the winner's circle. So, and I really do think, especially when we get to the Pegasus World Cup, that is a race that's going to be all about finding as much value as you can, however you can. And this is another race that's very, very similar. So, moving on to race number 10 on the card at Gulfstream. It is the Fred W. Hooper Stakes, going a mile on the dirt. This is a grade 3, the purse $150,000 for 4-year-old horses and up. Raider Jim, I will give you the honors to get us started here on the Fred W. Hooper as well.
Yeah, this one, it's going to be Speaker's Corner is the morning line favorite, and really the horse to beat. We keep saying that, but in a card like this is what you're going to have. You're going to have a lot of the favorites, and they are going to end up in the money. This one, it's going to be Speaker's Corner. Speaker's Corner was by far and away, let's see, won 6 3/4 lengths at Belmont the last time out in October, and that was and then came in second by a half a length to Miles D, one of the last times out. But I do like Speaker's Corner in this one. I'm trying to get to the right screen here because this is just the way the afternoon has gone.
No worries. I'll hop on and throw my 2 cents in real quick. The Speaker's Corner, I agree. This is actually a horse that last year was possibly, running with, well, not possibly, it was running with some of the big boys. It only ran an 80 in the Pennsylvania Derby, but of course that was the Hot Rod Charlie Midnight Bourbon battle. Was well off the pace there, but was 3.5-1 there. So there were high expectations for this horse. Since then, a 109 and a 103, as you talked about. And then for me, the other horse, kind of the 2 horse for me is the post position, the 1, Fearless at 5-2. Great speed numbers of late. They have dropped a little bit since the Oaklawn handicap. when it fell just a little bit to Silver State. That was a horse that beat Express Train, a horse that I've always been very high on. But for Fearless, it's going to be probably a battle between that and the Speaker's Corner. Those two horses going after it. The other three, the three other horses I kind of like underneath. Pain is 20-1. It ran in 99 all the way back in March of 2020. And I know it's a long time ago. It's a 7-year-old horse. It's a hard thought to think that it's going to go back to that. But at 20-1, if that horse can get even, a 94 back into it, I think that becomes a factor. The 5 horse is another one, Chivalry. Last time out ran in 81, but even back in September ran in 91, which once again, I think the low 90s is probably what's going to get the job done here. And then the final horse, kind of a long shot, 12-1, Gorlamo's Attack. Currently, as I said, 12-1. Jose Ortiz aboard, ran in 96 back in November and in 89. However, a big step back last time out where it was nearly an even money favorite and it ran only a 69. But this horse has the capability of running the 90s, and at 12-1, I think that's definitely a possibility to look at. But Raider Jim, pass it back over to you.
Yeah, and I do like Chivalry too at 15-1. I think it's a good bet to finish in the money. I also like the 7 horse Dennis's Moment at 9-2. That's an overlooked horse, I think. Has done very well. 3 wins in 10 starts, has put in some good purse money, doing good on the average on the payouts. So came in third the last time out, but I would watch for that horse to have a strong run on this race.
Yeah, this is going to be another one. This whole card, obviously, look, when you're handing out close to $5 million over 7 races, you're gonna see a lot of talent. Definitely, this is it. And the next 2 races are the top of the top, obviously, with the grade 1s coming with it, and that's where we go. Race number 11. It is the Pegasus World Cup Turf, so the co-main event, if you will. A mile and an eighth on the turf course there at Gulfstream, $1 million purse. This is, as I said, grade 1. I'll get the party started here. The horse that, obviously I believe is not the favorite. Colonel Liam is the favorite, but for me, the horse I like the most here is actually 8-1. Is the 5 horse Hit the Road. I think there's tremendous value here. Mo Forza isn't running in it. Raging Bull isn't running in it, which essentially that's the only horse that's beaten Hit the Road. Also Smooth Like Straight. Neither of those horses are running. And Hit the Road at 8-1, back to back. So we have last 5 races, 99, 99, 99, 100, 100. I don't know if that gets you in the winner's circle. You may have to improve a little bit, maybe get up to closer to 105 to win this race. But if you're at 100, you're 100% in the money as well. And at 8-1, I think that's perfectly fine. There could be more money coming in through a 2nd or 3rd place finish than a win for some of these others. The other horse, obviously, Colonel Liam, the 6 horse at 3-1. This is the defending champ of this race and is maybe one of the best turf horses of the generation. 5-year-old has made 1.2 million. The one, I guess, not knock, but the question I would have is, this horse is either in the winner's circle or not a factor. And don't get me wrong, it's definitely been in the winner's circle enough, but domestic spending has had its go with him. Gufo a couple times as well. Colonel Liam, I think Hit the Road might be on that higher momentum as Colonel Liam kind of coming down. The Manhattan will need to improve on that. When Colonel Liam only ran in 89. And then the 2 kind of horses underneath the card, if you will, is the 1 horse Space Traveler. This is a horse out of Great Britain. Since coming to the States, has ran in 96, 99, and in 92. Obviously did take a little bit of a step back running in 92, and a couple of those horses that ran in that race are running here, including Doswell and Atone. But at 12-1, I think Space Traveler possibly maybe could improve a little bit on those 90 92, get back up to the 99s and get in the money for some value there. And the final horse I have my eye on was the one I just kind of talked about, Doswell, which has been really very, very consistent and is seemed to be peaking right now at the ripe old age of 7. You don't see horses putting their first triple digit in quite some time at the tail end of their 6-year-old season, but that's what this horse is doing. Keep an eye on that horse at 10-1. Jose Alvarado aboard, and has been very successful with that horse. But Raider Jim, what are your thoughts on the Pegasus turf?
Yeah, Colonel Liam, the 6 horse, kind of a surprise that they are positioning that horse so highly right now. Again, I said it last race or the race before, whatever it was. Colonel Liam's been off for 238 days. And in the last time out came in 8th. It was the circumstances, of course, jostled and never really fired. Had a great start at that race, but then ended up not, being able to keep up and close the deal. So for Colonel Liam to have that kind of time off and then get 3-1 already, kind of surprising to me. I actually like the 12 horse, Never Surprised, which it's interesting because I'm looking at the Equibase sheet, and the Equibase sheet has morning line odds as 7-2, and Horse Racing Nation has that same horse at 12-1.
Oh, wow. Whoa.
That's kind of like, it's like when we look at the NFL games and it's like, well, if we would have got the spread today, we would have got it at, -2, and now all of a sudden it's -15. I'm not sure where the disparity is in that between the two publications. I also like, as you did, Hit the Road. Hit the Road has some great races last year. Won some grade 1, grade 2. Channel Cat out there as well. And let's see where we have Channel Cat. Channel Cat's running out of the 10 spot. So if I would, money for me is going to be, I will give Colonel Liam a look, but I like Never Surprised. I like Sacred Life also. Sacred Life, I think, is going to make a real run out of it. And then I also like the number 1 horse, Space Traveler.
Yeah, this field is, we didn't even touch on, you somewhat touched on Channel Cat, but Field Pass is running here, Cross Border, all kinds of other horses that, I think in any other situations would be the odds on favorite, and they're, underdogs, not only underdogs, but big time long shots. That is just, of course, the grade 1 scene. Especially early on, the turf scene. I think everyone wants to there aren't too many places in the United States that in January you can schedule a big turf race and be okay with the weather and not, expect that, okay, there's a chance we're going to get some rain. That's usually reserved for, the springtime, but certain places like Santa Anita and Oaklawn is Gulfstream, I should say, able to do that. But moving on now to the main event, the first big race of the calendar year. It's for $3 million. It is the grade 1 Pegasus World Cup, and it's being billed as the Battle of the Breeders' Cup champions, if you will. And it's hard to kind of doubt why, as it's going 1 1/8 on the dirt. And it is obviously Knicks Go versus Life is Good. Knicks Go, the dirt champion from 2 years ago and the defending Breeders' Cup Classic winner and presumptive horse of the year, taking on Life is Good, a horse that won the race that kind of introduced us to Knicks Go a few years back in the Breeders' Cup Mile. These two going at it. But Raider Jim, I'll give you the honors of breaking this one down, and I'll fill in the rest.
Well, you talk about splitting a hair. You got number 1 Knicks Go at 6-5. You've got number 4 Life is Good at 7-5. I think Knicks Go just has a little more pedigree or a stronger resume, if you will. And that is not to say Life is Good is a lesser horse. It's won a grade 1. Also, though, lost by a neck to Jackie's Warrior, but did win the Sham Stakes, a grade 3, the San Felipe Stakes, a grade 2, the Kelso Handicap, a grade 2. Knicks Go just goes out and takes care of business. Knicks Go will probably take care of business again tomorrow. And you said it yourself yesterday when we were just doing a little pre-podcast talk. He's like, you go from 6-5 to 7-5, and then it jumps right to 10-1. There is nothing in between here. I do like on a long shot, the favorites aside, long shot play for me might be Stiletto Boy. Kent DeSormo's riding Stiletto Boy, and he has brought that horse in the money, if I'm not mistaken. So watch 3 as a live long shot. Stiletto Boy, I don't believe that horse is going to stay at 20-1. It should move down to, maybe a 15-1, something like that. And if you can get that, don't sell old Kent short, because actually he showed the last time out with that horse. The other horse I like is Chess Chief, running out of the 2 spot. That's going to be one to watch at 10-1. There's our 10-1 horse. Sir Winston too, also a strong horse, the number 6 horse. It's just, it's going to be a good race to see. We always hope for, when you have a field like this, are we going to see that match race coming around the stretch? Is it going to be Nixgo, chasing down somebody, or is it going to be Nixgo takes it from the wire and Life is Good can't catch? Or, is Stiletto Boy going to pull an upset here and end up screwing up somebody's exacta ticket?
Yeah, this is such a, obviously at the top you have the head-to-head matchup that everyone I think expects. Maybe the smallest exacta box Quinella you'll ever see cashed. If those two come in. For me to split them, I agree. I have to go with Nixgo, and it's not because, Life is Good. It's just because, look, Nixgo has been there. This is the defending champ of this race. Nixgo won this race last year. Life is Good has been really good, as you talked about. Jackie's Warrior losing out to a neck there. Other than that, has been perfect. I think Nixgo is too strong. I spent the better half of the half of last year kind of doubting Nixgo. And watching him in the Saudi Cup last February, it's just like, oh man, I think maybe, it was a bit of a flash in the pan in the Breeders' Cup, and just might not be good. And you realize, well, that's a horse that just got trekked, into a whole different climate, across
Right.
countries, in the middle of a COVID, things like that. Maybe not on its best. When it got rolling, it showed to be the best horse in the world. And similar to like the Chiefs in the AFC and our NFL podcast, you got to keep riding this horse until it stops. Now, in terms of making money, you're going to have to throw some money down for it. That's not really the way I play. I was similar to you. Obviously, Nixgo and Life is Good. Those are the top 2. For me, it was, okay, who finishes third? Because I think that's the real question as bettors. To make the most amount of money, this race isn't about who's going to finish first. It's about who's going to finish third, more than likely. And it was between the 2 and the 3, Chess Chief and Stiletto Boy. And the reason I actually ended on Stiletto Boy is, let's just say, common opponent. Both of these horses, Chess Chief and Stiletto Boy, have faced Nixgo. Stiletto Boy, lost out by 10 lengths. Not a great look, but it's a great horse. And that was also, by the way, in a Breeders' Cup Classic just a few months ago. And then Chess Chief on the other side, that was back at Churchill back in October, lost out by 14 lengths. So just gave a little bit of an extra there to Stiletto Boy. Stiletto Boy is a horse also that ran in the Malibu, was well off the lead of Flightline, a horse that's come out of somewhat nowhere to capture the attention of everyone. Has been running at top level. So I like Stiletto Boy, especially at 20-1. Chess Chief is another one to keep an eye on. But I really do think if you're a horse racing fan, and you're not betting on this race, you just want to see these 2 horses go at it. Life is Good versus Nixgo. You want to see these 2 pretty much at the top of their game continue that on. And who knows? I think if everything goes as planned for Nixgo, it's ending in Keeneland or at Keeneland in the Breeders' Cup Classic again to defend its title. And I'm sure Life is Good has watched Nixgo's rise from winning the Breeders' Cup Mile to the year later winning the Breeders' Cup Classic. Life is Good will want to replicate that this year. But Absolutely. Raider Jim, anything to finish up on this card or any final thoughts for this edition of the original Call to Post?
Probably the only thing I would add out there for you West Coast racing fans, race 4 tomorrow at Santa Anita is going to be the San Vicente Stakes, and then race 8 will be the Palos Verdes Stakes. Small fields in both. Baffert's loaded in both of those races, so going to be hard to keep him out of the money for sure. But good fast horses. It's going to be very, very tight. It's just the opposite of what we were talking about in some of these races. You've got 8 to 5, and then I think the biggest one you have is 6 to 1. That's the highest odds you have in one of those races, and same with the 8 race as well. So keep an eye on Santa Anita.
Gotcha. Yeah, always got to keep an eye there. Santa Anita bringing the best out, and it was kind of brought up earlier. I don't know if we were recording or not, but we talked about the jockey, and I believe it was Flavian Pratt you brought up not traveling, staying, on the West Coast. I think, it is part of it is the fact that last year, the kind of, hey, I'll go there for the weekend and come back, kind of shut things down, at least for Del Mar, and maybe isn't necessarily against the rules, but let's just say it's kind of one of those unspoken, hey, unless, you really, really got to go, just stay here. You don't need it for that one mount, right. Something like that. Eventually that horse hopefully will come to the West Coast or whatever, or at a better time. But we'll see how that goes as we continue to kind of deal with, this not post, but living with COVID and, whatever variants coming our way. But for horse racing, I think this weekend, the first real big weekend, we've kind of had a couple months to take a deep breath after the Breeders' Cup, enjoy, speculate on who's going to run this, and how's the Saudi Cup going to look. And now the Pegasus is kind of almost the Daytona 500. In NASCAR, the Daytona 500 is that opening race. I think the Pegasus Classic that's kind of the first big grade 1, the first one that everyone has their eye on. Of course, after this, I believe we'll be switching our focus to the Dubai World Cup, or the Saudi Cup, which I believe is still 20 million, something like that. But anyways, we'll deal with that later. With that, thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the original Call to Post, presented by the First Off the Bench Podcast Network. Everyone comes off the bench, but we are first. It is time for you all to go wash your hands and stop hating everybody. Take care.
Bet smart and bet safe.
Amen.